Hi there, welcome to the card reading guidance that I'm going to be giving for the Miss Anonymous that wrote in the YouTube channel, but for anybody with trust and betrayal issues, boundaries, for strengthening your power, and I would add also being an integrity to yourself so you can actually voice and speak your truth as well. So this card reading is going to highlight the areas that we really need to look at, and I'm going to first take the relationship deck and give it a bit of a shuffle and ask for guidance relating to the issue at hand within the relationship, the core issue at hand. Okay. Interestingly, the core issue here is, in some way, I feel that the person involved, I think when you're in a complex situation between betrayal and stuff, you're almost living some kind of fantasy because somebody's actually not really actually being there, showing up for you. So we tend to make things up, you know, and allow our imagination to take us to places to do with the relationship, you know, and we tend to, there are times when we tend to sort of fantasize about what you'd like it to be rather than actually what it really is. And it sounds like also that when you're in a three-way dynamic, and it doesn't matter if it's somebody's actually having an affair or it's somebody actually interfering. It could be a mother-in-law, it could be a sister-in-law, it could be a sister, it could be a brother, or what have you. You actually are somehow not allowing the relationship to flourish in a way that really is about two people. And that what happens, it causes a very complex situation of an interference, really, and you end up actually fantasizing more about the relationship you'd like to have because you're actually not getting your needs met because of the interference. So I think that's very interesting. But anyway, we'll see what other card possibly could add to that. Okay, so like I said, very important. What would really heal the situation here is communication. All right, this is a lovely card. All right, now communication comes for me in many ways regarding the situation. Clearly communication to do with speaking to the people concerned, and in Miss Anonymous case and anybody's case, you have to speak to the person that's actually interfering and make your boundaries very clear. All right, also of course it's very important that you actually communicate honestly and openly with your partner. And no matter how difficult or awkward a situation may feel, you need to open up your heart and your voice to be able to really speak up for yourself and what you need to do. That is really important. Okay, now communication can come in many forms as well. I also recommend possibly speaking to somebody outside of yourself, like a counselor or a therapist, which will also help to clarify what is actually really going on for you and how you can strengthen yourself in this situation. All right, because sometimes actually, you know, we can end up just fabricating the idea or the ideal of a relationship and not actually being in it. And you can also see that kind of the trees there are quite barren. You know, you're not actually getting your needs met. This person right in the center of the card is not getting your needs met here. And all it's doing is imagining, oh, well, maybe someday, you know, when that happens or when that stops, and it becomes actually a real big fantasy. I may come back to this deck. But for now, I'm just going to pop into another card deck. So here I have the Fairy Healing card. This is what I think would be really nice. I did suggest that you go to see a mother's group, making new friends, you know, opening up your circle for support circle. Sometimes we can feel very isolated when in a relationship dynamic like that, especially when somebody that you've allowed in close to you becomes the person of interference. And I think this happens quite commonly sometimes when even a friend's best friend ends up hitting on her partner, or the partner having an affair, or it could be a nanny, it could be a third party situation that actually gets in too close for comfort, and actually there's a boundary issue that becomes very convoluted. But in order to nurture ourselves, sometimes we need to heal so we can actually start even coming from a place of strength. So I am going to ask for these cards to open up its advice and guidance that would really help give some counsel, a suggestion, and what would benefit, and what advice you might give. Okay, wow, very interesting. Okay, it's to do with the sexuality here, and this is so much what it's about, isn't it? Here's a figure of an angel where you actually have to respect your sexuality as a vessel. If you see, she's holding a vessel there. Let me take it back a bit. Okay, now it's a very precious commodity, if you like, you know, and women are sold off, you know, in back in the day, and still are. You know, young children, young girls, you know, and women are sold off for sexual, you know, advances, but as you can see, it's really important that we have some sort of propriety, and also really allow yourself to be really taking care of yourself. You can see that her breasts are covered by her hair. She's holding on to a vessel, and I feel that the vessel is actually something very precious. This is something you don't give out very easily. You know, we live in an age now where sex is just thrown around. You know, this, you know, there are scene and pop videos where people are shaking their booties, and you know, where breasts and body parts are revealed and stuff. And we've seemed to have lost the importance and the value and the sacredness of sex, and it's really important. And like I already said in the advice on the YouTube channel, that, you know, it's really important that you honor your body and your boundaries when it comes to a sexual relationship with your partner. Your partner never has a right to demand, threaten you, or to make you feel bad, or play the guilt trip, you know, that where you, if you're not conforming to sex. And people who do that are very manipulative, you know, and it's amazing how many women, you know, when we haven't formed ourselves, how we succumb to that demand, you know, and it's very toxic. It's a very predator violation, and in fact it's a violation to your rights and to your sexuality. So I would say definitely, again, you can see the color yellow there, really work with the solar plexus, which you will also find on the Vimeo next to this one, which is going to really help to strengthen your boundary. All right, this woman, she's very bright, and because it's a fairy, all the images actually have wings, but you've got to allow your light to shine out a dark situation here, you know, and the dark situation is possibly even the unknown. You don't really know what he's doing to your sister, what anyone's doing to anyone else behind one's back. Once you sense a sense of betrayal and trust, believe me, you know, you have lost the bonding, if you like, that makes you safe and feel secure, you know, and we start going back to fantasizing about the ideal scenario, maybe even about somebody else. And if you are also doing that, maybe there's something really to look at. All right. Now I'm going to also get the Wisdom, the Oracle card, a lovely deck of cards by Colin Baron Reid. Ooh. Okay, no cards open, so I'll take that again. Okay, this is the Wisdom of the Oracle card. Oh, this one's fallen out. Okay, this one's about maybe possibly time to let go. Time to let go of what's not working. Okay, we've got a clock here, an image of a clock with a hand just releasing. And it's a matter of time, maybe a matter of time before everything's going to come out and explode. Yes, yeah, that we don't really know what's happening. Things are hidden in the dark here. And then it's a matter of time before things are going to be revealed. And it could actually also, I'm going to open another card here just to get a clarifier, but it could also really mean, actually let me hold it here. There. That it's something that you might need to release, but I have a feeling this is about a situation that's just going to explode. Okay, that's going to just implode, and it really is a matter of time, because whatever's hidden eventually can't be hidden. It's a bit like the pressure cooker. And possibly it could be about your voice being released as well, or your power being released, but there is something here that I can tell you that will need to be looked at a bit further. Let me give you some clarity. Let me get a clarification card. Yes, this is also interesting. This is kind of moved out. This is the heart chakra being wounded. All right, this is the yin, the feminine, where she's not allowed to be. Again, there's another bowl there, like a vessel. All right, the female energy is very much about a vessel. It's about you being receptive, receiving, and being open to receiving, but it's not something that gets abused or invaded. All right, and in some way, I think somehow that the flow of your energy, the feminine energy, has been very much violated, and because it's on the upside down, this is you not being able to be in that receiving point because people are actually coming at you, and it doesn't really give you the love that you really want to have flowing. Okay, everything is, it's sort of turned upside down right now. Have a look at these cards one more. Okay, I'm going to put this on this card here. I feel like the love, the flow of the love has sort of, sort of disintegrated somewhat, and you are giving more of yourself out than you're getting back. You're trying to keep this relationship contained, but it's actually almost like a bottomless pit because the trust has been violated. You don't know who's speaking the truth. And what happens when somebody is being shady or having an affair, or there's some betrayal, and the betrayal can even happen with alcohol. It could be a third party. That could be a third party, where you're not being receiving, though. You're not being seen. You're not allowing your femininity and your feminine, divine feminine to be honored. It really can whittle a relationship away. Okay, here we are. All right. Yeah, so in fact, this is what you really need to also do. You've got to come to the edge and start really sort of taking a risk. All right, this is asking you to take a leap of faith and know that you're actually being supported. Because things are coming to an edge. You're going to be actually pushed to make a decision. And things sometimes take us to the edge of ourselves so we can actually grow. There's a spiritual growth that has to happen. It's the part of life, and it's part of nature, and it is part of our personal evolution. So it's really important, I think, you honor that. And finally, I'm going to do a chakra deck here, and there'll be a little mantra and some advice that I'm going to read out of a book. I'm going to give this a bit of a shuffle because they're actually not shuffled properly. This is quite a new deck, although I've had it for many years. Okay. All right, it's interesting. We've got the second chakra here. All right, and it reads, I consciously and gratefully take pleasure in all the sensual joys my body can offer me. I consciously and gratefully take pleasure in all of my sensual joys my body can offer me. I feel sometimes that when people actually end up having affairs, it's because the sexual needs are not being met. And I know that might come to a surprise to a woman who feels betrayed when her partner goes off with somebody else. But sometimes it's about us taking ownership on what is really important for us to actually give and receive pleasure, which really this is what this is about as well, and just as much as this. Okay, on the upright, it's a vessel open to receiving. And there perhaps could be a block for you that you're not actually wholly open to receiving your sexual needs or your sensuality. Or perhaps maybe when you were younger you were sexually abused or raped, and that could also really kind of put a block up without us realizing. And more importantly as well, I mean, it doesn't have to be something as extreme as that as well. We can actually shut off by, some really insensitive jokes that somebody could have told us about our bodies when we're younger. It could have been a parent, it could have been a relative, it could have been somebody at school. These things do happen, and without us realizing, we are shutting off and placed a barrier, a boundary, an unconscious boundary, or an unconscious sort of boundary that really limits us receiving. And what we end up doing is actually choosing people who mirror that out by actually invading our boundaries time and time again, and think it's their right to do so. And more importantly also, don't fulfill us sexually as well. So there's a sort of perpetuating cycle of a dissatisfaction, problems, and something going round and round, really. It's almost like a cycle of disappointments for the self, and also what's happening around you. So this mantra is to do with the sacral chakra, and I might actually throw that in as well, because I did mention it in my YouTube clip, that the sexual center is a center that has to be respected and regarded. It is a sexual center, the color orange. And here, this is quite an orange color card as well. But it is really important that this is where our creative center really is at. And our sexuality is a creative pleasure. It's a pleasure center. It's not somewhere that can be abused. And also, that it's really important that you speak up for what pleasures you like. Okay, very important. And what you're not willing to have as well. In your case, there was an invasion of an enforcement of certain kind of sexual pleasure that you were expected to perform, or even without any consent. There are relationships where the partner insists on having sex in a certain way, and again, if you concede to that or you give in to that and that's not your thing, you are abusing and intoxicating your sacral chakra. Okay, I'm going to have a quick look at that and see if I can maybe find that. Number 38. I wonder how that works. Okay. I'm sorry about this, but because these cards are just on offering, the major chakra. Now the second chakra is a major chakra, so you all know, and it's often related to actually child development as well, that could have happened. So whatever we tend to, whatever situation we have that's imbalanced or unclean or unharmonized with a chakra, tends to be issues that stem from a very young age. Sometimes we can bring these issues from a past life as well. But we'll just have a quick look here. Okay, it's the second chakra, number 38. All right, so the mantra for this is, I consciously and gratefully take pleasure in all of the sensual joys that my body can offer me. Okay, so the meaning here is the body is a temple of the soul, the sacrifice, the gift that you can offer the creative force for many presents, and has given you this conscious, grateful delight in sensual pleasure. An ancient piece of spiritual wisdom says, God respects me when I work, but when I sing, he loves me. Enjoy your body and every sensual pleasure that it can let you experience. This is exactly what the creative force made it to be the way it is. The most primordial and purest worship of God. This is why the second chakra is also called the sacral chakra, the holy chakra. New life and new ideas, great spiritual and physical strength and love are created out of this joy. Okay, which kind of brings me also actually to bring in that, when we start creating joy in our life, it also will naturally open a lot of our sensuality. Okay, our sexuality, we feel good, we're being really creative, we're singing our song out to the world, and what happens is we feel great. You're standing up tall, you're exuding a sense of vibrance that, you normally wouldn't have had. So again, it's really important to tap into something that you would really do to give you pleasure, as with this card. Okay, you might have an ability, a vessel of talents even that you're holding on to that maybe you need to release. At the moment you're mothering, in the case of Miss Anonymous here, but that is a talent in itself, to be a really beautiful and great mother, or to allow your creativity to flow through, the being of a mother as well as of the woman that you are. We're not limited anymore just to being a mother. We are actually, it's not as, everyone has their own conscious choice to make, but it's not a case of either or, it's a case of and as well as, so maybe you want to sort of think about that. So I feel that this should give you, I might even do one more of this, just a quick about this card, just everything else, that this is something for you to really get on with. Yeah. I feel like in some way, notice, pay attention to what you can start drawing to yourself. Yes, I think there's something very creative that, something that maybe you need to do to get your partner back as well, or for you to bring some creativity back into your life, because we have the Come Hither card, and this is calling in things that bring you joy. All right, this is also about being attractive enough, making yourself feel good. Sometimes some women, I know they might sort of struggle with postnatal depression, but you tend to sort of lose your sense of beauty, your sense of exuberance, your sense of womanness, which is what initially attracted, your partner to you, and the other way around. And more importantly, also maybe before the baby came, sometimes you don't have to have a baby to lose that. People get into very kind of stagnant, staid way of being, you're kind of wearing your jogging pants, no makeup, your hair is disheveled. It's up to you to kind of bring that sort of sexuality back. Here she is, look, she's sort of poised. Yeah, if you can see it, that she's got her arm, sort of flirting. Maybe you want to sort of get some flirt on. I have a friend who does burlesque. That's a really great way of actually getting your flirt on. You get to move, move your hips, do some exercises that allow you to move your hips, go dancing, go somewhere that's going to bring you some radiance. Don't feel that you're stuck, at home, not doing anything, either looking after a child or so. It is up to you to go and get your, what's that word? Your je ne sais quoi, your kind of mojo. That's what I'm thinking. Getting your mojo back, really important. Here also, there's a bit of a, come to the, why don't you take a risk at doing something new. Yes, take a risk at getting something new. Because here she is, she's coming to the edge, and she's also letting the flowers drop, sort of the petals fall, letting her love, her happiness, her joy, her sensuality. I feel like maybe you've lost your mojo and you need to bring it back. And sometimes we can get so stuck on the problem, that we lose a sense of ourselves. The best way actually to get anyone back, even in a sense for your own pride and your own sense of self, is to bring your mojo back, is to bring the flirt on, is to start claiming your beauty and your divine feminine, because that is how you're going to actually come into your own, claim your power, have a voice that you can actually really kind of claim, your self-expression, your physical, your nails, how you look, all your self-expression, which is also to do with the throat chakra, So I would suggest that you write something out possibly and write a list of things that you really actually like to do. Reach out to people, start, joining clubs, reaching out, ask questions as well. Go to clubs, look on the internet for clubs or whatever, and maybe look at local signs. Start extending your connection of communication with other people as well, where you don't feel isolated and you're dreaming of a life that is not there right now, but you want, and it's up to you to really claim that. Okay, bring your yin back. Okay, it's really important. Let me have a quick look. That's number 2. And this is a number card 2 as well. This is to do with love. In a major tarot card, Two is the Two of Cups. You know, it's a lover's card. It's a card of self-union, card of, you know, soulmate connection as well. All right, but really what's important is we do have to, as women as well, really honor the divine feminine ourselves. We tend to project outwardly and want somebody else to fulfill us all together in love. But you know what? You need to really bring the love back to yourself and inwardly first. Yeah. Oh, this one doesn't have it. Yeah, I'm just going to stay with that. So I really hope this has helped in some way for anybody watching. You know, own your power, own your sexuality, own your creativity, all the same, coming from the same center. This is about time, you know, and anything else is a wounded, so sacral chakra as well. So do look at my Vimeo for the meditation that will follow, which will be about, I would guess, about 20 minutes long maybe. And you'll find that you'll have some mantras and some visualization of the chakras to help you through. So thanks for watching. I really hope that the card reading has helped you, and I will find you back if you're interested for all the other topics and all the problems answered on my Ask Rafah channel on YouTube. Thanks again for being here, and lots of love, and have a great day. Bye for now.